Hi everyone, this is Joseph from English with Joseph. Well, as you know, we're continuing on with our series about common mistakes learners make. Well, today I have an interesting one for you. As you know, I'm very lucky because I get to speak to people all over the world, in every continent, every day. And of course, these people are very diverse. They all come from different places and different backgrounds. But they all have one thing in common, and that is that they're all so scared to speak. When I meet a student, I often ask, what have you been doing with your English? What have you done with your English? Some people say, oh, I wrote a letter. Others say, oh, I listened to my podcast. Some people say, oh, I went to my English class. Another person might say, oh, but I studied my English grammar. And I always say the same thing. That's wonderful, but did you speak? And the answer is always the same. Oh, no, 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 I don't want to speak English. No, no, my English isn't good enough to speak. Or, oh, there's no one to practice with. Can't. Even if I wanted to, there's no one to practice with. Another one might be, my English isn't good enough to speak. What if they laugh at me? What if they don't understand me? Now, I'm not sure why people have this fear. It's a little bit neurotic, or maybe that's just the type of students that I seem to have, but it may be because of the capitalist living that we are all living under. People these days expect to go to the supermarkets and be able to buy English from a box. In fact, people these days will do anything rather than ask someone to help them. The idea of having an exchange partner or someone to practice with, a practice partner, is very simple and very easy to find, especially on Skype. Today I want to talk to you about that fear, because that fear is demoralizing and it will stop you moving forward. If you want to speak better, the truth is, the key is that you have to speak, and there's no other way around that. You can copy as much as you want someone else by using the shadow method, which of course will help you speak fluently. You can imitate people's voices, but sooner or later you're going to have to meet people, real people, and that will introduce you more into colloquial English. Now let's look first of all at a few of the fears. First of all, there's no one to practice with. Okay, well, there's many people to practice with. If you use italki, that's usually where the bulk of my teaching time goes to. It has a notebook and a discussion forum. It's free to sign up and it's free to use those. You can go there and you can simply leave a note on the discussion forum and in the notebook to say, I'm looking for someone to practice my English with. Okay? In exchange, you can offer maybe 30 minutes of your native language to help the other person. You can be very specific about what you want, and of course, yes, it's true, no doubt, there are some strange people around, so you have to be very careful, of course, who you're communicating with and who you're giving your personal details to, especially if you're female. There's another site like that, or there's actually many sites. They have notice boards where you can simply leave your details and ask someone to contact you. Or in the case of italki, you can do that, which is probably the best way. Or you can simply approach other people directly, people that you can see are maybe learning your language, who have already said that they're looking for an exchange partner. So this idea that there's no one to practice with really doesn't exist. The idea of learning English is that it's forcing you into a new way of looking at life. Perhaps the previous methods you tried to learn failed. Maybe this is your mind telling you that it's really time to open up and let someone get close to you, to get to know you. And to meet someone from a new culture is a wonderful privilege, and it's an honor to allow that person to teach you something about their life or their culture. It's a very nice experience. So that's the first thing, this idea that there's no one to practice with. There's many people to practice with, but you have to first look at healing the fear that you have. There's other reasons as well. Maybe you think that your English is not good enough. Well, if you're looking at me and you understand everything here, then your English clearly is good enough. And English does not come to your mind automatically. You have to be prepared for someone to tell you that's not correct, or it would be better if you do it or say it this way. That's not a criticism on your whole being. It's not a criticism of your whole English level. It's simply correcting you with one thing. This is another problem I sometimes have with students. They say, okay, how's my English? How's my English? At the end of each lesson, they're anxious to know, how is my English? And I have to be very careful, because sometimes, even if I say one critical or negative thing, oh, my English is terrible. I remember once there was a lady I used to teach, and daily she used to say things like, oh, I want to die, my English is so bad. And she was telling me this in English, and it was very funny because it was just so dramatic. But clearly she was looking ahead at other materials which she felt she couldn't read, you know. And this is another problem. Of course, if you try to run before you can walk, you're going to feel very disorientated. So you have to take it slowly and one step at a time. Another big issue with students is they often say, oh, I'm very scared. I'm very scared because I haven't practiced my English this week. That idea really gives the impression that English is something which is a ritual which must be done daily to learn. And that's not the case. You know, to learn English is a little bit like having a commitment. Being married, being in a relationship, or having a very good friend. Sometimes there's good days, sometimes there's bad days, sometimes there's days where you just don't want to be there, and sometimes there's days where you want to run away. And it's the same with English. When you're studying anything, of course you have to make the best use of your time, but it's always going to be the commitment that brings you back to the table to pick up the study again. So as long as your commitment to English is sound, you have no reason to worry except maybe to rearrange your time. Just because you miss one day studying English doesn't mean all of your English is gone. Okay? But there does need to be some regular contribution on your part to learning. Well, that's really all I wanted to say about the fear. And I'd encourage you today to look at how fearful you are of speaking, and just try and reach out with a face-to-face group, a Skype person, a notice on italki. It's all free if you want to use it, whether you have a teacher there or not. And just try as much as you can to reach out, to let someone else teach you, or to allow yourself to learn from someone. You might be very surprised that you find a very good friend. Well, that's all I wanted to say today, so I hope this has been helpful. Now remember, you can find me with all of my usual links, which I'll paste into this video clip. My videos are here on Dailymotion, English with Joseph. My Facebook is facebook.com, English with Joseph. My Twitter is McTaggartJ7. My WordPress blog, where you can find details about my books, if you want to buy them, or if you want to email me and ask for them. You can find my details at englishwithjosephblog.wordpress.com. And there's a few other interesting links around there as well. Well, I hope this has been helpful, and I hope to talk with you again tomorrow. So, in the words of the very famous English book, remember, feel the fear, but do it anyway. Thank you. See you.